Today is Monday, August 25th, 2025, and it is Yom Sheni, second day of the week, first day of Elul, Rosh Chodesh Elul of 5785, and the Parsha is Shoftim. And on the Islamic calendar, it is the second day of Rabi al-Awwal, and it was following the same date as the Hebrew calendar for a lot of the month of Av, that was Safar, last month in the Islamic calendar. And yesterday, which was the 30th day of Av, on the Islamic calendar, it didn't have a 30-day month. It just became the first day of the new month of Rabi al-Awwal. And this is a gematriatic thought calendar that combines a few different calendars together into one, namely the Jewish calendar, a regular modern day Hebrew or rabbinical calendar, and it connects the Gregorian calendar, which was set originally in February of 1582 by Pope Gregory XIII. Before that, it was the Julian calendar, and this also keeps the Julian calendar in consideration as well. And that has to do with the Daf Yomi, because the year that the Daf Yomi started is the year, very interestingly, the last country, or last known major country in the world to accept the Gregorian calendar that we have right now. Meaning the reason why it's August 25th today is because of the Gregorian calendar. And Greece was resistant to accept that calendar up until as late as, or as early as, close to as 1923. What's interesting is that very year is the year that Daf Yomi started, Rosh Hashanah that year, which was going to be the Hebrew year of Taf Resh Pei Daled 5784. And so I made a connection, and it's just hypothetical, it's just theoretical, and I need to do more research into it, but there is a connection between the fact that Greece did not want to accept the Gregorian calendar and hold the Julian calendar, and the fact that the Daf Yomi came in that year. And I've seen some amazing things about the Daf Yomi, specifically the page numbering system, like what page it's going to be on in relation to what date it is, and the type of secrets or things that are hidden there. Is the postulate is that whatever dating system would have been corrupted or subjugated or captivated or something, or conquered, or whatever you want to call it, whatever negative effect would have happened by the world's acceptance of the Gregorian calendar was somehow saved, if you will, by the Daf Yomi. And the Daf Yomi is like its own calendar, its own time capsule, as it were, that it holds something, it preserves something that would have been lost. It could just be a complete fanciful imagination. I woke up one day, I don't know how this came, but it came to me that the fact that we're saying today is Tractate Avodah Zarah, page 68, and we announced that number is meaningful with relation to many things, not just the Talmud that we're learning that day. And it's a stretch, because how would you prove that? How would you? Well, that's what this is. One of the reasons why this calendar is here, to help mine out some of that data that can prove that that's true. And every once in a while, I see some amazing things with this, and it gives me the motivation to keep on going. But I recently started, as you noticed, I started counting the Islamic calendar, and that came from something really interesting. I was at a kiddush, and someone who is very much into gematria, like myself, and he said a certain gematria, and he said that this gematria number was for Yisrael, and I knew it wasn't that. He was struggling, but he was speaking publicly, and I was sitting next to him, and as he was speaking at the kiddush, I knew it wasn't Yisrael. Yisrael, the gematria Yud Sin Resh Aleph Lamed is 541, and he said a gematria of 451. But I knew that 451 equals Yishmael. He said, "Yes, you're right, and thank you for that." His connection had to do with Yishmael. So the moment I said Yishmael, that started thinking, like, what are the chances and what is the reason that I was sitting right next to him and he had this Devar Torah that had that word, and I happen to know. It would have sounded like I'm a total genius, right? I know every single word. No, I don't know every single word. I happen to know Yishmael, okay? Several names. My dream is to know every single gematria word in all of Hebrew. I believe that if you could do that, I don't know if anyone in the world has ever done that before or could do that. Maybe I won't say they can't do that, but it would seem that it's very hard because you're dealing with all the shirashim and all the variants, all the different. It's not just Amar, but Vayomer and Vayomru, and you go to all the different variations, and to remember each one exactly. I'm not saying it's impossible. I just don't think it has been done, and I don't think it will be done anytime soon. But it's something that I like to think about and aspire to, and at least I'd learn more if I didn't have that dream. So I happen to know Yishmael, and I said, okay, wait a minute, this must be a sign. This must be some kind of a message for me to. So I said, what's the message? And it came the next day or two, and I'm doing my calendar. I'm thinking, wait, the Islamics also have a calendar, and they very similar to the Jewish calendar. They go by the moon. In fact, when I started, it was like the last week or two of Av, maybe the last week and a half of the month of Av. And in that calendar, it was the exact same day. Like, let's say it was 23rd day of Av, it was the 23rd day of Safar. What's interesting, though, is that Safar is the second month, and the second month, and I don't know the Islamic calendar like super well, or even well enough to really understand, make so many comments, but what I've heard is that it drifts. The months, you could have Safar in the spring, and then you could have Safar in like the late summer, like we have right now, because it's a lunar calendar, and I don't know if they use leap years or whatever reason, or maybe they don't do it in a certain way that makes the months drift across the calendar, across the seasons. But Safar is the second month, and it ended up in late summer. But in the second month in Hebrew, it always has to be in spring. ER will always be in spring because mid to late spring, because Aviv, which is Nisan, the first month, is always the spring. Nisan has to be in Chodesh Aviv. So this leap year, the intercalation prevents Passover or Nisan from ever drifting into winter. Although if you're in Chicago, it can snow on Passover, and I've been there before, and it has. So it doesn't look like spring, but it officially is, like, according to the seasons, it's spring. But anyway, today on the Gregorian calendar, it's a Gregorian and Hebrew, Islamic, Daf Yomi, Julian, and it's open to other calendars too. But on the solar, let's say on Av, in the summer, the solar rules, which means that it's like a principality in a way. It's like, or a spirit energy. The sun is longer in the summer, so the sun rules. And therefore, Gregorian calendar rules, and it translates into. One moment here, I need to take this call. Okay, I forgot where I was, so I'll just start from I think where I was. With the solar and lunar calendars, okay, we're looking at, today is August 25th, so on 25th, we'll always be in box 12 on the calendar. in this dispensation. So 12, the connection is that 12, one of the rules in the PL-89 is plus 40. You add 40, it stays the same. Which means 12 is 52, is 92, it's all the same. It's counted as the same thing. That's how you can have so many millions of numbers in just this one small space. So 12, box 12 would be 52. And 52 is the numerical value of 6, spelled S-I-X in English, the number. And we've just today, well, yesterday, but also today's the first day of the 6th month, Elul. So that's the connection to the 25th day of August. Also 25 is 52 backwards and vice versa. So that's the connection, why 12 is connected to today. And 23 is the first day of Elul, box number 23. It's actually the second day of Al-Awal, which in Rabi Al-Awal in Islamic, which sounds very close to Elul, Rabi Al-Awal, Elul. So that's interesting. But 23 can be 103 because 23 is 63. It's just whatever 40 is added to it, it's the same family. They're called descendants. Like the patriarch would be 23. There's 40 patriarchs, but then as you add 40, it goes on into infinity. So 23, one of its descendants, of course, would be 103, because 23, 63, 103. And 103 is the numerical value of the word September. September in English gematria is equal to 103, and September generally corresponds to Elul. So the fact that we entered Elul on box number 23, and 23 equals 103, which equals September, which generally correlates to Elul. In fact, we're going to be in September, God willing, in a week from now. So usually Elul is going to be in the most of the month of September, or a good portion of the month of September, or in very early years it will be in a little bit of September, but Elul will always be in some of September. And so I think that's the connection. There's one more connection I can do, and I can share a rule of the calendar with it, that these purple and violet boxes, they merge and can become one. So if today is 12, like I said earlier, for 25th, that means that it's also the 21st. So 21 in its line becomes 141, right? Because 21 plus 40 is 61, 61 plus 40 is 101, and 101 plus 40 is 141. And 141 equals, in English gematria, month of Elul. If you write M-O-N-T-H-O-F and then E-L-U-L, that would equal 141, that phrase. And 141 is a descendant of 21, which is in today's rectangle.